Welcome to the Business Spotlight podcast. My name is David Beeson. I am your host for today's conversation, and my guest today is Joey Waid, the owner of Phone to Table. We're going to be talking about his business, journey to business ownership, challenges, best practices, and share a peek of what it's really like to build and operate a business. Joey, welcome to the show, and thank you for being here today. I would love for you to give us a little bit of background of who you are and tell us a little bit about your business as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me, David. My name's Joey Waid. I'm launching a new business. It's a mobile app called Phone to Table. But previously, I've done a lot of things. I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I've always wanted to be a founder. I thought that was always really exciting ever since I was little. So I went to school to do that. Graduated from Baylor University. After Baylor, I went in and I started in B2B SaaS sales at Oracle. Then I went to a startup where I was their head of sales and marketing, where I helped grow them from they did 100,000 in revenue the first year I was there. After 2 years later, we were doing 7 million in sales, and I helped grow the team from just me to seven other people. Just the sales and marketing team. Team had other bigger people as well. From there, I went to a startup accelerator where I helped founders raise money from VCs. I worked with over 1,300 founders, helping them connect to angel investors and venture capital funds. Um, and I also kind of broke out and started to do that on my own, which was my first real step into entrepreneurship, was doing that on my own, is just kind of working individually with founders. Since then, my wife and I, we've opened up a wedding venue called Rosebridge Estate here in the Austin area, which was a lot of fun. And now I'm launching Phone to Table. And Phone to Table, it came from, conversation I was having with my wife about ordering groceries and how groceries are getting more expensive and everyone kind of orders the same meals. And the idea is with this new generation of artificial intelligence, I wanted to do something. A lot of people are doing productivity tools for workplace, and I wanted to do some productivity tools for consumers because I don't think there's much of an emphasis on that as there are in the workplace. So that's where that kind of came from. So it's basically a virtual assistant to help you plan and shop your groceries for you, where it's going to kind of do the heavy lifting for you, find meals, automate your grocery list, and ship it right to your door. Powered by Instacart, Walmart, Amazon, all those great places that already do grocery delivery.
Awesome. Yeah, no, that's super cool. Generally speaking, what does your current ownership structure look like? Are you sole founder and owner, outside investors, business partners?
Yeah, currently I'm the sole founder and owner. I set it up as an LLC, and my philosophy has always been just to test it, right? See, go get a customer, see what the market's like. So I didn't want to spend too much time setting up a lot of things. I want to talk to customers and I want to go get that feedback. So I just went as fast as I could with that. And if I'm going to go get investors, if I'm going to go get other co-founders, other employees, at that time I'll really sit down with lawyers and accountants and stuff and really structure that out.
Awesome, awesome. So tell us a little bit about what role you currently play in the business. Like what's a day in the life of Joey?
Yeah. Day in the life right now is all about talking to founders, right? Or talking, not talking to founders, excuse me, talking to customers, where that's really the only thing I'm concerned about is this business viable? And really what I'm trying to do is every single week I set out with 1 to 2 to 3 experiments that I'm trying to learn. That's really how I structured this business and this culture of this business. I'm starting with just myself so that when other people come on, they get that. So a day in the life is every week I'll sit down with some experiments that I want to run. And they mostly have to do around user adoption, marketing, sales, things like that. Because, if nobody's going to use this, then I don't need to spend a bunch of time building it, right? So I've done experiments, the past couple weeks about what does this look like. I built a one-page website, I ran some ads to it, and I found that about 1 in 8 people were signing up when they were visiting my website. So that was really exciting. So then I really wanted to hone down the marketing message. That to me showed that it was viable, that people wanted it. So then, I ran an experiment that I wanted to hone the marketing message. So I created 3 marketing campaigns, ran a couple more ads, and these ads aren't expensive. I'm spending $20 to $50 on each of these ads, right? Nothing crazy like
Yeah.
thousands of dollars or anything like that. Just at that point, I can start to see, is this going to work or is this not? Because you're getting in front of 10,000 people on Facebook, right? And I found it's supposed to be helping you get your groceries. So I wanted to see, are people more interested in nutritional info? Are people more interested in the ease of use? Are they more interested in recipe discovery or saving money? Like, what are people interested in? And so I ran that experiment and kind of found the results that people really want just help getting their groceries. There's a lot of apps on the market, but we ran some surveys in the past and saw that what was it? 8.5 out of 10 people use some sort of app to help them with groceries, whether that's planning, a delivery, you name it. And 7 out of 10 of those people that do that would likely switch to something else because they haven't found something that works for them, which shows there's a need in the market that hasn't been filled yet. So we're trying to fill that need.
Gotcha, gotcha. Yeah, no, super cool. So basically, you're running a lot of tests, just trying to find the correct data that you needed to continue building the app.
Correct. Yeah. And the ultimate goal is to find what does it cost to acquire a customer and how much am I going to get from them in a lifetime value? That is like the ultimate equation. If I can get the customer acquisition cost down beneath the lifetime value of a customer at least under 8 months, then I know like this is full go. Let's go ahead. We have a good business here.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. I really like your approach to this, where it's like I don't think there's a lot of business owners that do the testing first method, and I really love to hear that. It makes a lot of sense. I feel like more people should do that.
I agree, and that's been my experience too, right? Is I want to make sure I'm building something worthwhile. If it doesn't work, and we run tests along the way, I sent out surveys. Is this a problem? I got back the answer is yes. So I built the web page. Would actually people sign up for this? The answer was yes. And let me find a marketing campaign. I found this one was the most successful. So just along the way, if I would have gotten a no, I would have just stopped and said, okay, let's go, let's do something else. Let's spend my time on something else. So
Yeah.
nowadays with AI, with vibe coding, with all of this stuff, it makes it really easy. I really started to get deep into the app yesterday, and was already on test pilot or test flight, excuse me, on the App Store, like ready to go with a new app in one day. So.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So I'm curious, this is always a fun question to ask, especially with you building an app and all this stuff. If I were to give you an extra 10 hours back each week, how would you invest those hours? Would it be in the business, personal life, family time?
Oh, that's a great question. I do love my family time. It's definitely a time for me to recharge and kind of get that recharge back. But I feel like if I were to get 10 hours back a week, I would spend it doing something productive. I think I've read sometimes that I've read in a place in a psychology book one time that people they have a question or two that they're always asking themselves, and my question that I'm always asking myself is, what's the most productive thing I can be doing right now? Sometimes that's with my family recharging, sometimes that's working out and getting my body right, and sometimes that's working on the business. So I would definitely try to find something productive. I find it most difficult probably to work out myself, so I would probably spend that time getting my fitness right.
Yeah, awesome. Um, so kind of going into the nitty-gritty about the business itself.
Yeah.
So I know you talked about it a little bit, but why did you choose to go into business for yourself as opposed to working for someone else? I know you said that you had an entrepreneurship brain since the beginning. Did you have another job before? And if so, what was that transition like?
Yeah, so I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur. My father's an entrepreneur, and I learned a lot from him. And really, what it comes down to is impact on the people around me. I think that if I can have a successful business, then anyone around me, if they're struggling at some point, I can give them a job, so they have income for their family. I have unlimited earning potential to change my family's life and to provide a great family for my kids, or a great future for my kids. You know. And things like that. That the pros of entrepreneurship, of being successful with your own business, are unlimited, right? And so that's really it came down to I want to have a great impact on the people around me. Um, I want to hire people when they need help and they need jobs and they need work, right? I want to give to my church. I love going to church and meeting new people and talking about the Lord I'm very passionate about giving to my church. So all of these things kind of come from wanting to start a business and be successful in that so that I can do all these great things. My transition from my job was very difficult. It was really, really scary to go in from, getting that guaranteed paycheck every week to not. That was definitely something. It was tough. I always recommend to people kind of do it slowly. Try to work 5, 10 hours a week to try to build up that income to replace at least most before diving all into it, right? But whether that's go from a full-time job, try to work part-time hours, or whatever, however you can funnel it, that's the best way to do it. For me, my wife had kind of started this business on the wedding venue, so we already started to make those sales, which was great. And then I was able to kind of jump in and help her with that, as well as kind of start my own business on the side, which immediately caught traction at the time. So that was kind of exciting to really give me the affirmation of I can make money for myself, I can provide for myself. Let's go do it full time.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So what makes your business unique? How do you communicate how you stand out against the competition?
Yeah, great question. That is actually something that I wonder every single day because with phone to table, there are so many grocery apps, and nothing I do specifically is ultra unique. However, when you kind of bundle it all together, what it's going to be is really unique. But it's not going to be so different than all the other apps. For example, there are other apps that allow you to find a recipe on social media, find the link and then download that recipe. There are other apps that help you find recipes and then shop it directly with Instacart and Walmart and Amazon. And there are other recipes that kind of help you personalize some nutrition things. But I'm kind of doing that all in one to where what I really want to be is your grocery assistant to where anyone can go and search a recipe and keep a grocery list and everything. But if you had an assistant doing it for you, they would come to you and say like, hey, David, I know you and I know your family and I know your dietary restrictions. I know your fitness goal or your nutrition goals. I know what foods you like. So here are 3 recipes I found for dinners. Which one sounds the best? I already know the ingredients and you just pick off a menu and kind of go from there. So that's kind of where we make it unique is that personalization feature. That the more you use it, it's like training your own employee, right? So the more
Yeah.
you use it, the more it gets to know you, the better it gets. And so it just gives you back to where you can really shop for groceries, hopefully, ideally in like 2 to 3 minutes, as opposed to going to the store or even scrolling social media or even honestly just going to a platform like Instacart where you're typing in each ingredient manually.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's awesome. Kind of transitioning over into marketing a little bit. I know that you talked about a couple different ad campaigns and stuff that you've done. My background is in digital marketing, just kind of let you know. I'm curious what kind of marketing strategies that you have in place for whenever you do launch.
Yeah, great question. So that's part of the experiments that I'm trying, right? Is one of them I'm going to try letting me find a platform. I really believe in the early stage of doubling down on 1 to 2 platforms max, right? There are an infinite number, as you know, someone in digital marketing, you could do so many different things, but if your attention is diverted, then you're not going to have as big of an impact. So I
Yeah.
know that, I'm going to create an app. So there's an audience that's already on and searching apps. I also know that my target audience is on social media. So that's where I'm figuring my audience is going to be. So I'm looking at Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Pinterest. Those are the big ones for recipes, as
Yeah.
well as App Store search ads itself. So I'm going to test all 5 of those platforms, see which performs the best, and go from there.
Yeah, and I mean like especially with something like this, you can catch like a movement, right? Like specifically with TikTok and how close the TikTok communities are. I mean, if you're able to get into one of those communities through an ad or something like that and it ends up taking off, I mean, there could be word to mouth type advertising through people just posting videos like, hey, you heard about this app, hey, you heard about this app. So there's a lot of like really cool um aspects with this that I think could go viral even, honestly.
Absolutely. And that's my hope too, is that
Yeah.
especially, we found through our testing that our target market would be moms of kids who have
Hmm.
kids ages 3 to probably 18 in their home. And moms talk to other moms. I know that from my wife who is a mom. She loves her mom communities. She's always looking at mom groups. So moms talk to other moms, and that word of mouth is going to be hopefully really, really good once we get the product nailed down.
Yeah. And I'm curious, so what is y'all's because I know like apps are free. I'm curious, what is your strategy to make money?
Yeah, great question. So when I'm going to test that as well, right? One of the things that we do, a lot of the other a lot of the other apps that I'm competing against, they have paid subscription models.
Yeah.
I personally don't love that. My wife doesn't really love that. So I was hoping not to do that, but I also kind of want to test it and see, do people love that, right? That's my opinion. That's my wife's opinion, but does the general public believe that? But the main source that I really wanted to focus on is that affiliate revenue where when you order grocery delivery, if I send you to Instacart, Walmart, Amazon, wherever you kind of get your grocery delivery, they pay me a revenue share of the orders of the groceries. So my service,
Mm.
it may cost you a little bit, or maybe there's premium features, but just to order the groceries is going to be free for that like assistant piece of it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, it's yeah, basically like an affiliate marketing program for the other companies by you giving them business. Yeah, no, that actually makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Mhm.
Um, so are you going to have any type of approach to tracking your leads? I haven't actually seen talked to many people who have made apps. So, do y'all like are you going to use like a CRM or anything like that whenever it comes to tracking leads or anything?
That's a good question. I would love to implement a CRM. I think, one of the biggest things, one of the biggest lessons I've learned is to keep a really good detailed CRM so that you can see the stats, right? Because if I can know, if I'm testing on all five platforms that I mentioned, Apple search ads, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest, right? And I know I'm going to spend $1,000 each. Here's how much I acquire a customer for. Those customers go on to spend this much a month, right? That's all data that I need to make important decisions, right? I could sit here and say, I feel like this would be good, but what I feel may not be what my customer feels. So I need to see the data of what actually works. So I will be implementing something to track that. I need to see what's best for those marketing campaigns. I know a lot of them, like Facebook and Instagram, they have a really good marketing campaign to where you're able to see those dashboards of you spent this how many installs, and then through the revenue probably on the app to track that.
Awesome. Yeah. So are you are do you currently have any employees? Are you looking to hire anybody or kind of just staying just you at the moment?
Yeah, not right now. I don't have any employees right now. I'm still in the testing phase. So once I kind of, my hope is that I can acquire a customer for $1 or less. And I'm hoping that, with the groceries that, I'm collecting in revenue, maybe $5 a month every time that you try to order groceries. So, if I can kind of find that, then perhaps I'd be on to finding an employee or finding investors to then hire an employee. Because if I say, hey, for every $1 I spend, I'm going to get a customer who's going to give me back $5 this month. Like that's a very strong proposition, and that's what my pro forma would tell you. Like my back of the napkin math would tell you that is going to work. But we need to see it actually happen, right, and actually be able to execute on that. So at that point, once I kind of validate the customer acquisition cost to lifetime value that equation, that's when it's really going to blow up and scale.
Awesome. Well, as we wrap up, I kind of have a couple rapid fire questions for you if you're ready.
Bring it on, yeah.
What is the key to success for you?
What is the key to success? I think collecting the right data. The right data is definitely, like I mentioned, if you have, hey, I know it cost me this much to acquire a customer on this platform, and this customer brings me this much revenue, it makes decision making so much easier.
Awesome. What is your one piece of advice to other business owners?
Test everything. Test everything and get that clean data so you know and you can make informed decisions, right? I don't really like to make decisions off of this is what I feel like, this is what I hope like. I like to see the data and make the decision based on what the data says.
Yeah, no, I agree completely. What's a good book or podcast you're reading or listening to right now?
I actually just am wrapping up a book about King David. Like I mentioned, I like going to church. I'm really interested and fascinated in him right now. Some crazy stories about David. Everyone knows
Yeah,
David and Goliath, but there are a lot of more stories about David that I kind of wanted to refamiliarize myself with. So I kind of like that. It's called David the Great.
David the Great. Awesome. Yeah, I also go to church. I have this wristband right here that says frog. It stands for fully rely on God. So yeah, I definitely check that out. What did you say it was called again?
David the Great.
David the Great. Yeah, no, I'm gonna look into that. Well, it's kind of a fun question that I always like to ask. If you had a little bit of magic dust and you could choose one spot to sprinkle it in your business and everything would be perfect, where would it be and why?
It would be that my product works really good and really perfect, and that's because from to kind of understand my user's flow and the design of the product working ideally. Because if I had some magic dust and I could know at the peak my product is making this much revenue from every customer, then I know what I need to go acquire customers for, and if I can beat that and get that in probably an 8 month payback window or less, then that is incredible. And, it's just full gas on the fire. You know what I'm saying? So if I could know exactly the peak product to get the most revenue from my customers, that would be ideal.
Yeah, no, that's yeah. Um, so before we get to the final question of the day, would you like to share with our audience how they can learn more or contact y'all?
Yeah, absolutely. We are about to launch on the App Store, so by the time you listen to this, we will probably be live. The app is called Phone to Table, and we also have the website phonetotable.com. We'll have ways to contact us, provide feedback. We'd love to hear from you if you download it, try it yourself. Have any ideas for me or ways that you could use it to order your own groceries? I would love to hear from that. That's probably the best way to get in touch with us.
Awesome. Well, we've come to the final question of the day, and that is what is most inspiring to you today?
What is most inspiring to me today? I really like learning from successful entrepreneurs and successful people in general. They don't have to be entrepreneurs. In fact, one of my favorite books I've ever written is Mamba Mentality, written by Kobe Bryant. I thought that was a really, really good book.
Yeah.
And one of the books that really inspired me that I continually think back to is about Michael Dell, Play Nice But Win. Here, Austin's own, golden business man here. And what he did, what he's consistently found is an equation, right, of your customer acquisition cost to lifetime value revenue. He did that even as a kid. As a kid, he was selling newspapers, and he found if I target these people, they're most likely to buy, and if they're most likely to buy, then this is revenue, so I just need to acquire them for less. And you find that equation, and then it just really, really makes sense, right? I think the best entrepreneurs, once they find that, everything sort of clicks together of that equation to make sense operationally. So I kind of think back to him as a kid, running those newspaper ads and finding the people. I think he said people that he lived in Houston, people that just moved to Houston, maybe married couples that just moved to Houston are like his target audience. So he found that, went and got the data of like marriage certificates and people who just brought properties, and then he, paid his friends to go get that data, and then just went and knocked on their door or called them or whatever it was. So that is kind of really inspiring of finding that customer acquisition cost to lifetime value equation. Once you get that, it like everything makes so much sense.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. Well, this was a great conversation, and I really enjoyed getting to talk with you and hear more about this app and your story. So thank you so much for sharing. I just encourage all of you watching to save the show and come back and watch it again because Joey really did have some great insights for business and go check out his app. Um, Also, don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel so we get notifications every time a new conversation drops, just like this one. Thank you to everyone who joined us today, and a special thanks to you, Joey, for being with us. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. I enjoyed it. Thanks for having me, David.
And I will see you all in the next episode.